Welcome to Court Cousins. Two cousins sharing laughs and talking the team they love, the Orlando Magic. Let's get into it. Welcome everybody to episode 5 of Court Cousins, an NBA Orlando Magic podcast. My name is Kyle. I'm joined by my co-host, my cousin, Jason the Peach. And on our show, today we've got a ROLO Check In for you. We're going to do a social media roundup, of course. We're hitting fact or fiction today. Peach is going to present us with his treasure trove of cards in Magic the Card Gathering. And we're going to finish it off by going over our Court Cousins Sportbook and see who's in the lead for our Court Cousins Championship belt. There's that beauty. Just a hint, I'm taking that puppy home. But first, of course, we want to check in with each other. We're cousins. We care about how we're doing. But here we do it a little bit differently. At school, we have a social emotional check-in. But here we do it on the meter of a Robin Lopez. So, Peach, I'm kicking it to you. How are you doing for today's ROLO check-in?
Let me tell you something, brother or cousin. The Peach is all amped up tonight because this ROLO check-in is coming from the pregame that the Bucks used to do. Robin Lopez and Giannis or Wesley Matthews getting into a wrestling fight in the back to get hyped for their NBA event. And I today am doing the reverse of that. I am doing this podcast on my way to AEW Dynamite tonight, filming at your alma mater at Boston University's Agganis Arena tonight. That's where I'm headed after this show. So I got a little bit of the reverse going on. Doing the basketball to get hyped for the wrestling.
That's awesome. I didn't know about that tradition. I don't know how I feel about my best player being involved in wrestling matches pregame, but that's a whole other situation. Today,
well, I don't know if you're aware, but wrestling is fake.
Hey, but I'm not taking away anything from those guys and girls' athleticism. That is not easy what they're doing. I am pissed off, Peach. I think I've been pissed off on one of our ROLO check-ins, but it's coming at me again today. Folks out there, you can probably empathize. There just feels like the world is throwing me shit pizza after shit pancake. And I'm just like, I'm fed up with it. I want to crawl into my cave and never come out. So I am Chicago Bulls, Robin Lopez. I think post Oklahoma City fight, he's having a big FU as he's being tossed from the court.
So angry.
Yeah, and that's how I'm feeling right now. I'm not feeling great. I'm feeling angry. And I think that this podcast, though, is a nice therapeutic way for me to get back to a nice, calm Kyle.
Yeah, I am surprised to hear that you're this angry. I did get a chance to see you over the weekend. We did some fun stuff. And so I'm a little surprised that you're this angry. And I'm surprised that Rolo ever got this angry. He'd never seen, you see it in spurts from this guy, but man, expletives on the court. Unbelievable.
Speaking of some other expletives that may have been uttered, we're going right into our social media roundup. And I think most of us might be aware, but T. Ross may have uttered some expletives in the general direction of the Orlando Magic media team. This was a post from Instagram, I believe, may have been up on Twitter as well. And it was from the official Orlando Magic media. And it was the picture of a car at the last minute swerving off an exit, which I think most of you are familiar with. And they have two options. On the left, it says, looking at the final score of Magic games, and the car is veering away from that. And on the right, it says weekend plans. It's taking the exit for weekend plans, not going to look at those Magic scores. But that's okay. That's kind of funny. But what made this so controversial is that one of the first comments is from Terrance Ross simply saying, please delete this, period.
It's all fun and games until whoever you're saying something about it sees it. I think, which is why mean tweets is popular on Jimmy Kimmel Live. And this is one of those moments where, obviously you read that, it's funny. But my feelings on this are actually that, I think it's okay for like people like us, fans, stuff like that, to make a post like that. But coming from the actual Orlando Magic just 2 games into the season, I think it's in poor taste, and I like that T. Ross said something about it and didn't just let it lay. And you know what? Maybe they use this as motivation because they won that third game.
He certainly did. I think right after this, he came out and dropped 22 in the fourth quarter. So maybe it was a little good motivation. Maybe we should encourage the media team to go after our players. No, I'm not going to encourage that type of behavior. They did take it down. I think that was the right move. I've been on the Orlando Magic Twitterverse and the social media out there, and generally people have been giving a round of applause to the Orlando Magic media team. They've seemed to make a change in the last season, and some of their stuff is really biting. It's really funny. It's really topical. It's really trendy. So I think generally they're going in the right direction. And anytime you try to live on the edge, you might fall over from time to time, and they did on this one.
Exactly what I was going to say. Not gonna repeat it.
So that one was hilarious yet troubling. Let's go on to perhaps another troubling one. This one was from a new handle that I just discovered recently. It's NBA _math. Yes. And they do all types of statistical analysis on various NBA teams, players, things along those lines. And they did an analysis on an XY axis of the Orlando Magic team, essentially charting the efficiency, the player efficiency of our players. So on the y-axis, it's defensive points saved. So you want to be higher on that. And on the on the x-axis is offensive points added. So you want to be as high in that upper right corner as you can. And none of our players are above the 0 line on the x-axis, which is troubling. But I think what stands out most to people and what had people most up in arms about this post was that our boy, our number 4 pick, our number 5 pick, I'm rocking the jersey, just got it in the mail, Jalen Suggs, is all alone in the lower left-hand corner. Do your eyes deceive you, Peach?
Yeah, they do. Look, I love math. I love the NBA. And I love it when math and the NBA can get together. I love stats and all that kind of stuff. But I question this form. I don't understand how you can accurately predict or say how many points somebody is saving you. Because I saw Jalen Suggs playing some great defense against Evan Fournier in the second game, which I think was a large part of the difference. He didn't do as much that game. Also, the Knicks didn't hit a team record 24 threes in the game, so that helped as well. But I mean, I don't know how you can predict how many points a guy's is stopping when his guy doesn't get the ball or he passes it off before making an attempt. So I'm not really sure exactly how they're getting that access there. So also we're 4 games in and he's a 20-year-old. So I'm not too concerned about it, even if this was what I would call correct, which I don't put a lot of value on what I'm seeing out of this right now.
Yeah, the only way that I can make sense out of this is if turnovers are included, because, he's 20. He's taking on the point guard responsibility probably a little too early, and he's having some turnover difficulties, to be totally expected. I'm not worried here. On the right-hand side, just for the listeners that might want to know, our top 4 most efficient players, according to NBA _math, are Wendell Carter Jr. He's our number 1 most efficient player on this graph. Mo Bamba, who's been coming out pretty hot. And then Franz Wagner, no surprise there. But you know who is in there as well? Our boy Rolo.
The creamy center.
Oh, yeah. So tonight on today's episode, and we are recording this on Wednesday, October 27th. So just before the Hornets game. We don't have a wager time in this episode today, but no, Peesh, I wanted to give the people what they want because they know I'm a degenerate. They know they want to put their money down on our Orlando Magic. So I saw this tweet out there. I'm not sure where it came from, but it is a graphic with the Orlando Magic logo on it, and it has some odds for us. We talked about the odds for the Orlando Magic getting into the 9th and 10th seeds for the playoffs this year. I put some money down on that. You better believe it. But we didn't go far enough, Peesh. This graphic shows us where we should have gone. It says Vegas odds have Magic at plus 50,000 to win the NBA Finals. That means, Peesh, if you bet $100, you would end up losing $100. That's what the post says. Burn. But, true. No one's expecting to go to the championship. Where'd this come from, Pish?
Glad you found this. Glad you like this. This is a Court Cousins original. I made this one. We're getting in the meme game, ladies and gentlemen. We're coming. This is actually a pretty good example of what we talked about earlier, where I think we can post this. I think if the Orlando Magic had posted this, it's not a great look. But although, honestly, I don't think anybody expects the Orlando Magic to win the NBA Finals. So it's a little far. But I just thought it was fun.
Yeah, I think that we need to have the Orlando Magic media team, just take a few off. Just grab some Gatorade, sit at the end of the bench for a couple, and just let it go. The last post is from our buddies at the Six Man Show. I say buddies, I don't really know them. We've exchanged messages, and I'm a fan of theirs. At Six Man Show on Twitter. This post is in regard to the NBA's 75 list that recently came out for the 75th year anniversary. And they wrote, I love Dame, capital love Dame, but him making the 75 and not Dwight Howard is just wrong. And Pish, I agree, man. How can you 3-time defensive player of the year back to back to back? I don't think anyone else has done that. I mean, he was the main cog, the main piece in our finals run and Eastern Conference Finals, like challenging every single year, beating down on those LeBron Cavs teams and those Celtics teams when I was in Boston. Boy, was it a pleasure going in to the Garden with my Magic gear and all the Boston fans wicked cheering for the Boston Celtics, dude. Nah, you got stuffed by Dwight year after year, and somehow he gets snubbed on the 75 list, Pish.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I am totally fine with him not being in the top 75, and I think I might be one of the only Orlando Magic fans that feels this way. But I'm sorry, the 75 greatest NBA players of all time. Like, he had a span of time for like a 4 or 5 year span where he was dominant and couldn't be stopped. But you could make the same argument for Penny Hardaway or some other guys if Tracy McGrady doesn't make this list, then I don't know. And if Tony Parker's not there, I don't know if it's right either. Like, okay, there's some guys that made it that maybe shouldn't have. I don't know if Harden should be in there. So, if we want to start picking out ones that you could trade out, if they're doing a top 100, I'm willing to listen to a Dwight Howard argument. But honestly, I'm totally fine with the list. They got a lot of great players in there. There's not a lot of guys I can take out of the 75. That's the problem. There's not a lot of guys that don't belong in there that he could take the place of. It's not that he's not great. It's not that he didn't have a great run. But also for me, him playing as a backup, for the last several years now, is kind of hurts my legacy memory of him when I think of him at first. I have to be forced to think of that span of time you discussed where he was dominant and couldn't be stopped. And, that's why guys like Penny Hardaway aren't on there. They had a small window. Grant Hill didn't make it. Again, this guy was a triple-double machine when he played and he was healthy. But, there's a lot of good players in that top 75. I don't have any problem with him not being there. A lot of Magic players got snubbed, but when we get 25 years down the road and we add 25 more players, maybe we'll have some more in there.
Yeah, I think I agree. This was a complicated list. It touches on what you mentioned just briefly. Is this a career achievement thing? Is this a talent thing? It's unclear. I would really like to see the criteria for if there was any. I feel like there wasn't because there's such a broad spectrum. I feel like they just got a bunch of writers, and I don't know who voted on this, to be honest with you. I think it was mostly
there was some ex-players, current players, even some WNBA players I've heard. A bunch of people had input in this.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like everyone came to the table with a different criteria. I think what I'm most up in arms about, and maybe other Magic fans are too, is like the Anthony Davis. Great. Anthony Davis is a good player, but he didn't do jack in New Orleans when he was the guy, winds his way out and can't win a championship until he gets with LeBron. And is that, he played his ass off during that championship run, but that was in the bubble too. And everyone was shooting the lights out, and so Anthony Davis, what happens if he gets, I'm not wishing injury upon anyone, but that's what happened with Dwight. He got back issues. He got, he had some issues that held him out from being a superstar when he went to the Rockets or the Lakers. I can't remember which order it was in now because I was crying.
First.
I couldn't see through the tears in my eyes. But this doesn't really make sense to me with some of the guys that are still playing that haven't necessarily had the longevity yet, and their careers could end tomorrow. And I think they're in there because of talent. And that doesn't seem fair to Dwight, who has, your point is fair. His longevity may not have been like some of the other players on the list, but it's certainly more than, as our boys at Six Man are arguing, Damian Lillard, who hasn't really won anything, and Anthony Davis, who didn't win anything when he was the main guy until he got LeBron. So I would put Dwight easily over those two. And I'm sure there's others on the list you can make the argument for. But to your point, Tony Parker's not on there. That was surprising. Or is Tony Parker on there?
He is not. Tony Parker's not there. I could make an argument for Ginobili. I mean, like I said, you could. It's not hard to find people that are good that aren't on this list. That's what makes the list so good. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's the cream of the crop. It is the best 75 that have played in 75 years of the NBA. And honestly, if I really had to spread this out, I'm not sure if Dwight makes the top 100 if you really start thinking about it, but I'll listen to it at that point. But not top 75, I'm cool with it.
Oh my God. I can't believe I'm doing this podcast with you. This is ridiculous.
I'm wearing the man's jersey right now. I got one on the wall back there. When he was here, he did a good job, but that time has passed now. I mean,
oh my God. We won't tell him.
Yeah. See, if he finds out, then it's real. But if he doesn't, we're cool.
We're safe in our ivory tower to sling down stones and sticks. Anyways,
I'm in a basement. I don't know where you're at.
So that was Social Media Roundup. Thanks so much for all the posts, the insights, the hilarity. We're moving in now to our next segment for today, Fact or Fiction. And in this segment, I will present some statements to Peach. And Peach, you will begin by telling me whether that statement you believe to be fact or to be fiction. Are you ready for the first one, Peach?
I'm ready.
We've been dazzled. I've been spasmodic when I watch this gentleman.
Yes.
Cole Anthony will be the Orlando Magic leading scorer this year.
Wow. I am going to go with fact.
Okay.
I'm going to go facts. I just don't. He is the one guy out there right now that can get the ball, create his own shot, has no problem chucking it up. I mean, I don't know what his field goal percentage is going to be. Don't matter. We're talking about highest scorer. I don't see anybody. Suggs occasionally wants to shoot it, but he seems more focused on the defensive end. I don't see anybody else that's going to start topping the things that he can do. And as we saw against the Knicks, he can drop 29 when he's really feeling it. And I don't see that other person that's going to lead us in scoring right now. We don't run the game through the post, so it's not going to be WCJ or Mo or even Big Chum if he comes back. So I just feel like at this point I got to say fact.
Yeah, I don't think I have an out to go fiction on this one. Like you were saying, he's averaging right now 15.2. The nearest competitors to that for leading scorer would be Sweet Franz at 13.3. And we're going to talk about that sweetie pie later. And then Mo Bamba at 13.5. And I guess that I could make an argument for Mo. I mean, you say we don't really run out of posts, which we haven't, but I think Mo has the most well-rounded skill set to be a top scorer if he can put it together. And right out the gate, I think he had 16 in the first game, something like that. And it's kind of tailed off from there. And I don't want to jinx it. I'm not saying that it's going the wrong direction, but I'm still not seeing the consistency from Mo to say that he will be a leading scorer. Now, Cole also not the consistency that I want, but I think he's more secure in his role as the microwave six man who comes off the bench, even when we get like Markelle Fultz back, and he potentially has taken over the starting guard responsibilities. I still think Cole is going to get a lot of minutes because, like you said, who is going to score the rock? I mean, Jonathan Isaac coming back, he's known as a defensive stalwart. He's not known as a guy that puts points up. Chuma, we saw flashes that he can really shoot and get guys off the dribble once in a while, but we're going to talk about him later. Where's
our
he
leading scorer may not have even played a game yet, but
right.
based on what we see,
yeah,
we feel comfortable with fact on that.
I'll stay with fact on that. So next one, I'm really excited about this one. So I'm gonna give you the statement, and then I'm gonna give you some of the numbers on it, so that you can go off of it. So big news in the Orlando Magic community. Not too long ago, Wendell Carter Jr. was given the contract extension. So the fact or fiction statement is Wendell Carter Jr.'s contract extension is a bargain. And before you answer, here are some numbers for this. This is the way that the contract works. So it's 4 years, $50 million. The first year he's making 6.9, then 14.15, then 13, then 11.9, then 10.5. I just read 5 years. So actually the last four, those are the only ones in the contract. 14.15, 13, 11.9, and then the last year, 24-25, he's making 10.8. What say you, Peach?
Okay. I say fact. Especially with the amounts of money that you saw some scrubs and bench players getting in this offseason. Here's a guy that's a young player, has shown a lot of promise, isn't a starter. And by the end of this contract is going to be just such a bargain. It's a bargain now. 5 years down the road, it would be a bargain. I think at some point there might have to be talk of a restructuring because it's so good. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Yeah, I think it's a deal. Fact.
Yeah, I looked up the highest paid centers on average per year, and this contract puts him at the 16th highest paid center. So right in the middle of the league, like right middle of the pack. That seems fair right there. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, it's totally fair for where he's at right now. He doesn't maybe have the skill or ability of all the other guys, but he has the potential. And at his age, that 2 or 3 years down the road could be when he peaks. So this is low. I mean, man, we're not paying anybody else really. So what the heck? You got money to spend under cap. Why not?
And this isn't, I mean, if anything, that's a really tradable contract, even to trade to a team to have a super duper solid backup center. I mean, it almost is. It's fringe starter, almost backup money, and it definitely will be backup money. I think I heard on a podcast with Bobby Marks. I mean, there's going to be new TV money coming in right at the end of this contract, so that last year really might be a bargain. He's averaging, his career average is 11 points, 8 rebounds, 1.7 assists, 50% from the field. And that's pretty much what he's averaging this year. 10.8, 11 points, 9.3 rebounds, and 1.8 assists. Again, on 50%, a little over 50% from the field. He's efficient with his touches. He's getting them mostly down low, but it should be said that he has stepped out and started to hit some threes. And if he can really do that more, then as you said, his value is just going to continue to increase. Now, the only thing, you're going with fact on this. The only thing I think I'll go with fact as well, but I will hedge my bet. The only thing that I would hedge on the fiction is he hasn't been able to stay on the court for an entire season yet. So if you're asking me, am I going to get a healthy Wendell Carter? This is immediately a fact. But I think the only reason we were able to get him to lock in at that 50 million number when guys like Jared Allen were getting 4 years, 25 mil a year, the Cavs are screwed. Oh my God. They're so screwed. They have so much money tied up in that. That's ridiculous. They're paying guys left and right. They paid Lauri Markkanen. Like, what are you? Anyways,
point made. He's one of those guys that, like in Caruso, it's like if these guys are getting that much money moving around to be on the bench or just be a spark guy, then why can't this guy who has potential to be an all-star, really, honestly, like a couple years down the road if he keeps developing? Pay the man. Pay the man his money.
And if that's the only caveat, if you can stay on the court, because again, he hasn't played a full season all career. And I think that's why he took the money right now. It's all guaranteed money. So $50 million is generational wealth. I mean, you're good now, Wendell. Like, he's good. I think before he was probably good, but congratulations to him and congratulations to the team. I think it was a great bargain. All right, this one. I'm excited about this one. This has been heating up around the interwebs. Franz Wagner is a legit contender for Rookie of the Year at this point.
I'm going to be honest with everybody. I could argue this point either way, but I think the one that makes the most sense to me is yes. Right now, he is in the conversation. He's playing well. He's hustling. He's all over the place. He's shooting the ball well. He's getting starter minutes, and I mean, you can kind of see him developing. He already looks better in game 3 and 4 than he did in the preseason. Like it's. I'm not saying he's going to continue to rise that fast, but who else has been playing that's a rookie? You know, Cunningham hasn't played yet. Some of the other guys haven't quite played to their potential. I think if you look at the numbers, he's in the top 5 probably in some categories or around there. So yeah, he is technically a legit contender right now. Will he remain there? That's not the question. Fact.
Yeah, at this point is really the kicker for this question. At NBA_math, again, shout out to them. They did a similar graphic with all the rookies, and Franz is right on the right-hand side of that graph with some other guys that are much more notable in terms of names than he is. And this year, he's averaging 13.3 points, 4.3 boards, 2 assists on 48.9% from the field, 35% from 3, with a player efficiency rating of 13.7. So player efficiency is just, I don't know, some algorithm of statistics that tries to measure how effective a player is in all their minutes. Other guys, I mean, Jalen Green is the big one, I think, that people think are really he's going to win the Rookie of the Year. He had the best odds, I believe, or second best odds, right behind Cade on most booking sports books. He's averaging 14.5 points, 4 rebounds, 2.5 assists. So numbers slightly better, although Franz is getting more boards. His field goal percentage overall, though, is at 39%, a whole 10 percentage points less than Franz. Now, he is shooting 40% from 3, which is pretty impressive, but I'm not sure how many he's taking. I haven't watched a lot of Jalen Green this year because his efficiency rating is 10.6, 3 points lower than Franz. Now, the dark horse in this Rookie of the Year campaign, who may take it all out of nowhere, is Chris Duarte from the Indiana Pacers. And I have been watching a little bit of Indiana Pacers because I bet on not DeMontis Sabonis, Miles Turner. I bet on Miles Turner to pull down 9 rebounds. You're a center, bro. Pull down 9 rebounds. Come on. That guy, he put up like 4 rebounds. He had 1 blowout game, and then he's been nothing. Yeah. Anyways,
I'll voice my opinions on guys getting rebounds later.
I have been watching a little bit of Pacers. That's my point. All right. I've put some money on the Pacers at times, and so I've been watching a little bit. And Chris Duarte is tearing it up. He's currently averaging, as a rookie, 19.8 points, pretty much 20 points, 4.8 boards, 2 assists on 41.2 field goal percentage, and 44.8 from 3. He's just knocking him down as a marksman. His player efficiency rating is a little bit less than Franz at 13.1, but Chris Duarte, I mean, the guy, I think he's 23 or 24. He was a 4-year college guy, whereas Franz came off after his sophomore year. So Franz is much younger, but he's still competing with these guys, and he's getting better and better every day. Now, if this question were, is he going to be Rookie of the Year? I would probably say fiction, just because when we get Chuma back, hopefully, when we get Jonathan Isaac back, we do have a little bit of a logjam at the 3-4 position there, and he might not get as much playing time as Jalen Green or Chris Duarte. And of course, holding out for our boy Jalen. We're not giving up on him. I think we can see that Jalen's ceiling is very, very high, although it's not like Franz has a low ceiling at all. I feel like every game he's getting better, and he just keeps rocketing up exponentially.
What you had here today was you had 3 facts, ladies and gentlemen. We hit you with the 3. That's really what it gets down to.
Yeah, I guess we probably should have put up a couple that we might have disagreed on. That we'll have to work on that next time.
Well, we don't really discuss all that stuff necessarily beforehand. We want there to be a little mystery. Right now, if it's all facts, that means we're feeling good about stuff. And that is a 1-3 team. If you're feeling good, enjoy the ride.
It's that time again when the Peach points out, this is something.
On October 27th, in a game against the Charlotte Hornets, the Orlando Magic were outscored 120 to 111. This is something.
Well, Peach, now we're going into what has become my favorite segment so far. We've got some others in the works. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. I think you'll like them. But for this one, Magic the Card Gathering, Jason is going to dive into his treasure trove of Magic cards to pull out some background crashers, rookie cards, some he played in Orlando, some who the hell is that, and a stat of the week. Peach, the floor is yours, sir. What do you have for us today?
Well, hitting the floor today with a very diverse 5 from the Orlando Magic. We're going to start out with background crasher. There is Mr. Jeff Turner. You guys all know him because he calls the game for the Orlando Magic now. And his hair looked a little different there, not quite as coiffed as much as it used to be. But there he is with Magic Johnson. I got to feel, honestly, that this card right here is probably the card Jeff Turner shows his grandkids when he wants to prove he played in the NBA. He pulls this bad boy out. He says, there I am with Magic Johnson, backing him down. And then I turned stone cold, nailed a 3 in his face. You can lie at that point because you have this picture.
That didn't happen.
Mass produced it. It might have. It might have. I mean, Jeff is not known for averaging a lot of points, but I'm sure he may have scored on Magic Johnson once in a while. And that I don't know. It's just fun to see Irvin Magic Johnson there on an Orlando Magic card.
Some magic on Magic. Yeah, he might have scored on Magic there, but I think Magic scored a lot more than he did in more ways than one.
Probably. And I'm going to let the second part of that go. Let's go ahead and move on to rookie. And hey, look at this. It's a current card. I didn't have to dig back in the archives. It's really shiny. You can see shiny. Prism. Cole Anthony rookie card right there, the Emergent. This is an insert, I believe, in this set. And I don't know, it's just good. It's just shiny. Cards now are all really shiny, and they have the great pictures on them. And this is a fun one because he's actually wearing the jersey. Some of the other ones, you'll see him in their college jersey, but I just thought it was good. I finally had a good card to throw in the segment of a current player. Cole Anthony still rocking the wacky dreads in this fun card right here. The Panini Prism.
The Panini. What's your opinion, Peach, on the shininess? Because sometimes I'm not sure if I'm, unboxing a pack of Magic cards or a Pokemon deck, or maybe I've entered a portal into an alternate dimension. Sometimes I don't know how I feel about them. Sometimes I just want the classic photo.
Yeah, and they have that. You can get that on base cards. Okay. And then usually the inserts are shiny, but then they do make brands like this one where they're all shiny like this. So it's kind of like up to you, like whatever you're into. I believe it's NBA hoops nowadays. Like their base set is very regular, and then they have a shiny inserts, and then they also have like a shiny group that you can just buy. I'm messing up the verbiage here. Card people will get mad at me, but you can go either way. You can still get the basic ones that don't have a shine, and we'll mix some of those in as we go forward. But There's another shiny one coming up here as we go with he played in Orlando. And I know a lot of people will probably remember this one, but we had a theme going with the he played in Orlando, and it was all guys who are now coaches. So I present to ye Mr. Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard was actually Sweet Franz's coach at Michigan. So that qualifies him to be a guy in this category, as we've had Steve Kerr and Tyrone Lue previously. So there's Jawan right there. He only played 1 year in Orlando, 03-04, played 81 games, averaged 17 points and 7 boards. So he had a good year when he was in Orlando, but only 1 season from Dwight Howard. You don't think of him maybe as being with Orlando, but he was there for 1 season. Do you remember? You remember him being there?
Yeah, I didn't think it was only 1 season. I had more heartwarming memories of Juwan than that. What year was it again, Peach?
03-04.
Okay. Yeah. He was a solid year, but I know it was towards the end of his career, I think is
right in between his Rockets and Nuggets spans.
So
got it. Now it's time for Who the Hell Is That? I know you're not going to know this guy. That's Mr. Chris Corchiani, and I'm assuming that I'm pronouncing that right, but I could not find a proper pronunciation. Chris Corchiani. He was a draft pick of Orlando in the 91 draft in the second round. When he left school at NC State, he was the ACC all-time leader in steals at the time. So I think the Magic thought they had a steal in Chris Corchiani in the second round. I think they thought maybe this guy had Scott Skiles vibes, where maybe he would be able to replace him going forward. But they were wrong. He only ended up playing in 112 total games in 3 seasons, 2 with the Magic, and then played with Boston and the Washington Bullets as well for a cup of coffee. So not a very vast career for Mr. Chris Corchiani. Not sure what he's up to now, but look him up. He's probably maybe he's working at Brian Evans
medical supplies.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's possible. I think
there could be a whole Magic pipeline that we don't know about to Brian's medical facility. Maybe the whole crew is out there. Chris Corchiani, initials CC, Cousins. Maybe we should have him on the show.
Maybe.
That's that hot hit in Magic content that people want. Yeah, he's watching. He loves the show. Dude. He loves the show.
All right, last up, we've got our stat of the week. We talked about him a little while earlier. Here he is. That's Mr. Tracy McGrady. Hey, that's Andre Karolinko in the background there. Special background crasher. But the Tracy McGrady, the all-time, the most points scored per game in Magic history, 32.1. It may not sound like a big deal, but only 26 times has someone scored more than 32.1 in a season. And that's only by 13 different guys, because there's a lot of Wilt Chamberlains and Michael Jordans in that pile. This is part of my argument why Tracy McGrady should be in that top 75, because no one could score the rock like Tracy McGrady, and he's the Orlando all-time points per game in a season standout mark holder. Tracy's doing it. Got to put him in there. Let's go.
Yeah, I love it, man. And he's on. We had an honorable background crasher as well. It was a 2-for-1 there.
I could almost do a whole segment with background crashers sometimes.
Save the ammunition. We need it for later. We got lots of episodes coming up. AK-47, one of the best defenders in the league at the time, and T-Mac didn't mind. He'd put it down on anybody.
I'm sure he dropped at least 40 on him. Not even a doubt.
Well, awesome stuff as always, Peach. So we don't have any wager time for the people today.
Nope.
But
we do
have some betting. Yes, we have our special Court Cousins Sportsbook. So if you watched the last episode 4, we introduced the Court Cousins Championship. And the Court Cousins Championship works like this. Every episode, every 2 weeks, we will present 4 different wagers. I'll present 2, Peace will present 2, and we will take whichever side we like. Then, depending on how those wagers play out, we will get points towards that wonderful championship belt that Peace just displayed. So the first thing we need to do is catch up on how we went last week. And I'm sorry that this smile. Yeah, I know you want me to go fast, but I'm going to take my time. You want to know why, folks? Because I won 3 and the Peach won 1. So just a reminder, last episode, 2 weeks ago, our bets were Magic wins in the first 4 games to be over under 0.5. Peach took the under and we got a win. Yes. Terrance Ross, 18 points per game, over under. Peach wisely took the under on that one. I gladly took the over, and Terrance Ross is sitting at 12.5 points per game right now. And if he didn't have that fourth quarter blow up, then I don't even want to know what he'd be at. Wendell Carter Jr. averaging 9.5 rebounds was the line. Peach was the over. I was the under. I was pulling for him to get over, man. He ended up he ended up with 9.2. And he had 9 the other night too for you? Or you needed
9 and 9. He couldn't get that extra point.
If he would have gotten that one, he might have gotten you there. You might have needed 11 to get you to 9.5. It's close. And then Jalen Suggs came out on fire in the preseason and in summer league, but summer league doesn't really matter. Neither does preseason. But he just came out looking like a guy who was blocking tons of shots. And I think he was averaging at least 1 block per game in the preseason. So we set the line I offered to Piche 0.5 blocks per game. Piche, you were feeling the defensive tenacity. You went with the over and he let you down. He's gotten 0 blocks.
Yeah, he's been playing sound defense. I mean, yeah, for the purposes of this bet, that's too bad. But he's been playing sound defense. So I'm not that mad about it. There was 1 block last game that they didn't give him credit for, but it didn't end up mattering for the sake of this bet. So I'm not going to go ahead and write to the league and be like, hey, I got to protest this. We got to figure this out. As far as WCJ not hitting the rebounds, I think if maybe Cole Anthony would have stayed out of the paint a little bit in that Knicks game, stop getting all those rebounds, little man. Spread the wealth. Let's go. You got a big man just got paid. Let him get some boards. Come on.
Yeah, what did he get? He got like 15 or something, 16.
And you're right. Well, like your point about T. Ross is insane. I mean, the guy went off for 22 points in that fourth quarter. He hasn't really done much of anything else except for in that one corner this entire season. But that's amazing in itself, though, that you can come into a game, have 0 points, just drop 22 in the fourth quarter. I mean, I understand the Human Torch now. I see it. Yeah. I saw it. The Knicks got burned, and then sometimes you get burned by thinking he's going to do it again. So he's fiery either way.
I thought he was going to come out. I mean, we talked about it earlier in the show. We don't have a lot of scoring. That's why we're saying Cole Anthony's the only guy who can be our points per game leader over the year. T. Ross, I thought, was that guy. He's a veteran. He's a proven scorer. I don't think he's 100% right. He hasn't been getting a lot of minutes. And he, again, I've mentioned this previously, he mentions on his podcast that he kind of took a relaxed rehab summer, which the man has earned. And he was having some back tenderness. I think it's working now, but, veterans, they take some time to get into the season. The season really doesn't start for veterans until 8 to 10 games in. They kind of mosey into it most times. So that was
originally I was doing this as let's reverse it back and talk about what we're talking about. But now I'd like to go forward like this and say, let's travel on to this week's CC Sportsbook.
All right. So this week, it's really the next 2 weeks because we drop an episode every 2 weeks. So by the time we record our next episode, there will be 7 games played. In the next 7 games, there'll be 7 games. They'll play the Hornets, the Raptors, the Pistons, the Timberwolves, the Celtics, the Spurs, and the Jazz. So those are the games that we're setting these Court Cousins Sportsbook wagers for. Mm-hmm. And so we have 4 challenges. I'm going to present 2 to Piche, and Piche, you'll present 2 to me. So I have the first one. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So we talked about Franzi Poo, sweet Franz. Oh, I love him. He's so good. Franz has been averaging 13.3 points per game. So we're going to up that a little bit for this line just because we think he's going to keep getting better right now. And for these next 7 games, the line that we're setting is 14.5 points per game. Are you taking the over or the under on that, Piche?
I'm going to take the over. I want to, partially because I believe it and partially because I love rooting for the young lad. I think it's doable for him to get over 14.5 with the rate that he is shooting. I feel like his shooting's improving. He's doing more on offense and we need more people to do on offense right now. So if he's willing, we'll have him. And I think it's going to be good for more than 14.5.
I mean, so I'm the under, and this is when I hope I lose because I want to see Franzi Poo just keep scoring and filling the bucket. So, all right, you got the next one. What do you got for me, Piche?
All right. Well, last time we did over under on wins, it seems like it's something we should kind of continue. And so with the 7 games coming up and some of the teams we have this time, we're not going to say 1. We'll get it done for you. I'm going to set the line over under at 1.5 for wins in the next 7 games.
All right. So if I take the over, they get 2 wins out of this. If I take the under, it's 1 or under that.
Let me give this. So they'll be playing the Hornets, the Raptors, the Pistons, the T-Wolves, the Celtics, the Spurs, and the Jazz.
And those, you got to figure if we're going to have winnable games, there's got to be some in there. I mean, the Raps, can Jalen Suggs really allow Scotty Barnes to get a victory over him? No, we can't do that. We can't allow that. We got to stand up for Jalen Suggs. That should be a winnable game. although the Raptors have many more veteran players than we do. The Pistons without Cade, is he going to come back? Who knows? The T-Wolves under Chris Finch, they're playing better, but I did bet on them, and they let me down against the New Orleans Pelicans. Bastards.
Who
The
bets on that?
Celtics. I mean, they were playing. They were playing hot. I think the T-Wolves were going to be good. I thought they were going to surprise people. People really like his coach. I don't know much about him, but apparently this guy Finch is a really good coach.
I for one am surprised that you bet on that. So that is working.
I know. Well, that's what I get. That's what I get. Right. Celtics. So, I don't think we have a chance in hell on that one. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have been cooking. The Spurs, we got blown out game 1, but we shouldn't. So I mean, the Hornets, Spurs, Raptors, Pistons, they should all be winnable, but I don't think we're going to win any of them, to be honest with you. So I'm going under.
Ooh. Oh my.
You like.
I see. I'm the positivity for the Orlando Magic this week, and I'll take that because I feel like we're good for these 2 here, maybe even 3, but I love this. All right, I'm down.
Okay, that normally doesn't happen. That's been happening. Hey, maybe we're changing, Peach, because normally I'm the optimist. Yeah, you're the.
Let's stay. It started at the Rolo Check-In where you were angry.
You're right.
I mean, it's a reverse show.
This is some Freaky Friday shit right now.
I don't hate it because your life's kind of better than mine. So.
Next one is my turn, right? It's my turn. You threw me off. Now I'm like, okay, all right. You threw me off on that one.
we jammed him up.
You jammed him up.
What was the over under for me in blocks today? 3. All right, so we're there. I got a guy over here.
Yeah, he's keeping score. Just got a guy sitting in the corner tallying things. All right, all right, here we go. We're back on track. I got this for you. So it has been much to the chagrin of Magic fans that we have not yet seen our last year's star rookie, redshirt rookie, Chuma Okeke, play in any games. The last update that we got was from Josh Robbins' Twitter. When asked for an update, and this was 1 day ago, so Tuesday, when asked for an update on when Chuma Okeke is projected to return from a bone bruise in his hip, Jamal Mosley declined to offer specifics, saying, quote, "There is no real timetable for him. We're going to see how he responds to contact and to his rehab." So over under Chuma Okeke to play in 3.5 games out of the next 7.
Under. This is definitely one of those chagrins that would like to see him play, but I feel like the Magic know who they are. They know what they're doing and they know what they're competing for. There's no reason to run him out there if he is not 100%. And I could even see him like going out and getting a short stint in a game, but then, if it's a back-to-back, maybe he doesn't play. And this is assuming he comes back at all during the stretch. I could see this whole thing go by and him still not having played. It's tough to tell, but I'm definitely
there's
going
the realist.
Here. Yeah, sorry. Oh, here he is.
There he is. There's that guy I know.
Yeah, sorry. I got to go under here. All I'm hearing is no timetable. I'm being given next week, later this week. I feel like the terminology would be different if he was going to come back within these next 7 games. So I'm kind of going under the belief that not that he comes back and gets hurt. I don't want that either. I don't know if he's going to be back, or if he does, maybe he just comes back to try it out. Maybe even I don't know. Can they do preseason? Can he go play in Lakeland just as a warm up like they do in baseball, where they kind of rehab their way back up? I don't know if that's a thing, but I could see that happening. But yeah, I'm definitely taking the under on this one, but I hope I'm wrong. I would love to see him out there.
Yeah. I should have set the line differently. I'm on your side. I don't like that I'm on the over end of this 3.5 games.
Well, I'm way behind, so I need this.
Yeah, I don't know if other fans can relate to this, but I know that Jeff Weltman and all the way down, they've set this precedent where they don't set any timetables about injury or return, and they don't give us any information about folks return, players return. And I get it. You don't want to set that expectation and then come up short. And you don't want to put a pressure on a player to return from injury when, again, our timeline is, years right now. We're not competing this year. But dang, can you throw us a bone? Can you throw the fans a bone at all? This started as a hip bruise, and now it has been called a hip bone bruise. So if you would have started with a bone bruise, we could have understood a little bit more that this is, a very serious bruise, or is it something with his labrum in his hip? to say when they came out with he has a hip bruise, I thought, that, oh, okay, well, he'll probably be back for the second or third game. He'll be back soon. But it seems way more serious than that. Unless, I don't want to utter the words, Peach, unless they're tanking.
Well, you said it first, so this is all coming back to you if something happens. I didn't even hear you knock on any wood when you said it. That's a problem. But I'm not saying that's what they're doing here. Look, I've had some really, really bad bruises in my time from playing a lot of rec league sports. I've got a lot of rec league trophies, but I've also had a lot of rec league bruises. And I know that sometimes when you get one of those ones right on your hip, man, it is just not the same. And you feel like if you fall again on that same spot, like everything inside you is just going to break. And if he has any of that going on, there is no reason to come back early. So I'm only thinking about it from a personal pain standpoint. And I'm totally fine with him taking time to make sure that baby's 100% before coming back. Now, I offer you to you this, Mr. David Steele, who calls the games. And by the way, I've enjoyed watching the games on NBA TV. I love hearing Jeff Turner. I love hearing this guy. They're doing a great job. I love seeing what goes on in the stadium in between. I recommend NBA.TV to anybody who's there. They're not even paying us, but you should watch it. It's way fun. So anyway, he does a little segment that's called, Is This Something?
Is this anything?
Is this anything? Is this anything?
Anything?
He says, sorry, is this anything? And he gives out a random stat. And then somebody in the back decides they're going to either ring the bell that, yes, this is something. Or I guess he would buzz if it wasn't, but he is a perfect 4 for 4 to start the season. And I have to question to you, sir. I'm setting this line at 4.5 for the next 7 games. How many times will David Steele ring that bell? The hustle plays. How many times will he do it?
Wow. You're setting it at 4.5. So you think he's hot right now. He's hot and you think he's going to stay hot. He's been doing his research.
My guy over here, my stat guy, was like, you should set the line higher. And I said, no, I want to give this guy some wiggle room. He's going to run out of good facts at some point. 4.5. What do you say?
Well, I love some David Steele. Is this anything? But I just, I think the truck who rings the bell or gives him the buzzer, they've been nice to him to start the year. I think they've given him a couple that might have been on the fringe there. And I'm going to take under. I think they need to bring him back to earth. I think they're going to humble him. We all need a little humbling sometimes. And David Steele's on fire right now. I think he needs to be humanized again. So I'm going to take under. I think, 4 out of 7 still really good. But I don't think he's going to be that hot to get 5 out of 7.
I am loving the side I am on of all these bets. And I need to sweep to take the belt home. Well, it's already here, but to keep it and have it legitimately. Feeling good.
My friend, my cousin, you are sorely mistaken. But that has been all for the Court Cousins Sportbook. And that wraps up our show for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for spending this time with us. Please subscribe to our channel, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, or reach out to us on Discord. We're here doing these episodes every other week. Please comment and share. It really helps out. And we will see you again in 2 weeks. Peace.
Thanks for coming.